Happy Wine Wednesday, everyone. Hope you've had a fabulous week. Hope your tanks and seahorses are doing great. I always stumble on my words at the beginning, don't I? Anyhow, if you're on Instagram, as per usual, it's going to look funny. You'll see Cheryl today, but you won't see the rest of us. You can, of course, just listen in on the story or jump on over to YouTube, and then you can see the full video. I've got some special guests with me today. I've got Cheryl and Holly, as per usual. Ray had some stuff going on, couldn't come, but I have Vincent with us today, who's going to talk about his seahorses. And I, of course, have Robert King, who is going to give away that char chamber to one lucky person that shared when we're done show and telling. What? Oh, okay. So anyhow, to get this party started, because I don't want to drag it out forever, I don't have any announcements today except for make sure to follow Robert's channel. He's doing a great thing giving this away. We'll talk about the char chambers in just a little bit, I promise, after we show and tell. And let's see. Oh, Ask Seahorse Source Part 3, talking about the probiotics and the peroxide and the fry will be next week. So watch for that post. But Miss Holly, I know I kind of rambled through that, but if I start sharing, and also guys, if I do disappear, it's because of this computer. I'll be back in a minute. Just stay tuned, stay with us. I will be right back. But hopefully that won't happen this week. But I do have my other computer right there in case.
I see anyway, Kevin and Tyann, I think, are waiting to get in.
Oh.
Yes. I believe.
Yeah.
Where? Like, what do you mean?
Or they're on YouTube, maybe. They're in the comment section.
Oh, yeah. It's because I was late. I'm so sorry, guys. I was trying to get everybody in. But we're here. Hi, Tyann. Hi, Kevin. Awesome. Hello. And sorry, now I'm jumbling my words. So let's get on with the show and tell part so that we can get to the Vincent and the char chamber Robert part. But I did ask anybody on my page and in Seahorse Sources group to share their pictures and videos, and we got a bunch of people who shared. Holly, of course, was my biggest sharer because she's awesome. So I'm going to start sharing the pictures, and as we go through them real quick, I'm going to have Holly tell us like kind of what we're looking at. So let me see where to start here. Sorry, guys.
Take a lot of pictures.
Well, yeah, I mean, but that's good. And I've got everybody's pictures here that I will share. Just going to kind of, I mean, I have to jump through them, I guess, because I didn't do this very well, obviously. But I'm going to have to jump through them because it goes from one to another. But as we go through them, I'll kind of say what we're looking at. Okay, Miss Holly, I'm just going to start with the first one. Here we go. All right, tell me what we are looking at here. Let's see.
You?
Yeah,
yeah, so far.
Now what are we looking at? Now what are we looking at?
Okay, that's Princess. She's in the grow out tank.
And tell us again, what's the grow out tank?
That's where I put the seahorses once they're old enough to eat frozen food and bring them up before I sell them. I don't have any for sale right now. I have just the 8 that I'm keeping. So. But that's where they live.
And whose head is he choking? Or she choking? Excuse me.
I have no idea. One of the siblings. I haven't named everybody in there. There's a few of them that have names. The ones that stand out. So that's Princess, the real pretty white one. And
is her coloration and I'm so sorry I interrupted. Is her coloration and beauty the reason she got a name?
Yes, that, and because of where she hangs out. There's a white piece of fake coral that I have in the tank that she hangs out in all the time, all by herself. That's her favorite place to be. So I thought she was like a princess in her castle. And she turned white to match it, and it's got red tips on it. So if you look real closely at her, she has a little bit of pink to her too, because she kind of tries to match those red dots on the coral too.
Love it. And that might even be in one of the other pictures. You know,
I think there is on her head. You see it more because it's translucent.
All right. And I'm sorry, guys, that I actually shared from Facebook, but I couldn't think of a better way to do it without taking everybody's pictures. So what are you looking at now, Holly?
This is little Sadie. And she was probably, I want to say maybe 4 months here, 3 or 4 months. And she just turned 2 years old. She's in my display tank, but she was one of the first batch that I was able to raise 5 from that batch. And I sold 4 to a pet store, and I kept her. So I still have her. So that's Sadie.
Awesome. Okay. And sorry, guys, again. The next one, who's Peekaboo? What's Peekaboo about?
I can't tell you who that is, but most likely, I'm not sure which batch this is, but I think this was Sadie's batch, and she was always the biggest, healthiest of the seahorses in her batch. So there's a lot of pictures of her. So this may have been her. I don't know.
Gotcha. Wait, you see Vincent's, man. When I saw the video that we'll see in just a little bit, guys, but the video of Vincent's seahorses, I was like, holy moly. And I was telling Cheryl and Holly before we jumped in live, I bragged up the stores that are closest to me because, you know, I said they took my advice and had seahorses in separate tanks at the fish stores. Mm-hmm. And then I went in today and I was so upset because there was a seahorse literally this size for sale. Oh. And Holly, how old did you say that this one was approximately?
Oh, probably a week old, 2 weeks old max, I would say. So what it's hanging on to, what I use for hitches for the newborn fry is gutter guard. Mm-hmm. So it's plastic gutter guard, that keeps the leaves out of your gutters. And it's just a perfect size for the newborns to hitch up till they're probably a few weeks old.
And that's what you use in like shipping bags too, isn't it? Like that with a ring or whatever?
I'm trying to think because I use different things and it's been so long. It's been like a year. I can't remember. It was a matter of what could I find that would work. Yeah. Sure. And I think the thing about the gutter guard is it's stiff. It's pokey.
Yep.
So I'm thinking I may have put something on each end of it or something. I can't remember.
Well, honestly. I know Dan uses something like that but he where it's pokey, he'll put like a ceramic biomedia so that.
Well, and he uses the plastic fencing.
Yeah, you're right.
That's more pliable. It's like more like.
No, you're right.
You just have to watch
more
that
like
stuff.
mesh.
Yeah, so some of those fencing stuff. Some of them have nice big holes where they can't get stuck, and some of them have tiny holes. And I've seen more than one seahorse try to get through there and get stuck. So you really have to pay attention to the size.
Yeah, and when I looked at it, I think I didn't use that because you had to buy a huge roll of it. It was expensive. Right. I'm like, I'm not going to have that many baby seahorses in my whole lifetime.
And this is Dad? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Holly.
That's Sandy, yeah. So that's Sandy. He was the dad of all the batches I raised. So he had 5 batches before I lost him to bacterial infection.
How big did he get? Because he still looks, he's gorgeous, but did he get pretty big?
He passed away fairly young, so he's not as big as Scrappy Doo is now, but he was probably a good 7-8 inches, close to that.
Awesome. So nice. Not trying to zip through these, guys. Anybody in the question section, any questions you have, feel free to jump in. We're going to get to the other pictures as soon as we're through with Holly's pictures. But go ahead, Holly. Who's this little guy?
So this is Scrappy Doo, and I know that because there were only 3 of those seahorses that made it to a few weeks old. And he was the only survivor out of that batch. So he was the only one that really showed, and I doubted he was going to make it. That's kind of why I called him Scrappy Doo, because he was a little scrappy guy. But he was the only one that was really eating good that I thought might have a chance of making it. So what happened was when his siblings passed away, they were a small batch. There was only, I think I said 14 of them. So it was a small batch. They were very tiny when they were born, probably not what you would call a viable batch to raise. But he ended up surviving. And when the others passed, I put him in with the older siblings. So he was a tiny seahorse in a group of bigger ones because I didn't want him to be alone.
He was Scrappy. He was Scrappy.
Yeah, so Scrappy grew up with Sadie's batch.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, and that does help often.
And his birthday is coming up here in August 21st. He's going to be 2 years old.
Awesome.
And you'll see him in pictures coming. He's a big, handsome seahorse now.
Yep. Let me see if I can find the this is when Scrappy Doo was getting bigger. That's
probably him, yeah. So there he is growing a little bit. That was when he moved in with the older siblings. You know, once he learned how to eat frozen, you know, and I was confident, you know, that he would eat, then I put him in, you know, with the older batch.
And what are the colored rings or whatever that you would call them? What are those?
That's a decoration they sell. I believe it comes from Petco. Oh, no, it's PetSmart. That one comes from PetSmart, and it's in the fish decorations. And what it is, it's a row of rainbows on a cloud.
Oh, wow.
And it just makes a good little hitch for the, you know, for the young seahorses. So I have a couple of those.
That's really cute. I like that. All right.
Yeah, I find, you know, cute stuff like that. I look in thrift stores. I look in pet stores everywhere and just use my imagination, you know, what they might like to put their tail on. So this is Sadie's batch. You can see how little they are with the big old shell. I use the like little clam shells for feeding dishes for the seahorses. When they're young.
So how big, like, how many inches would you say they are at that stage?
Not quite 2, probably. I'd say 1.5 to 2.
And did you say, is that Princess in the background, or am I mixing them up?
No, because she was a later batch. So that would be the seahorse in the foreground would be Sadie. I can recognize her shape. She has a distinct shape compared to the other seahorses, and she had it since she was young. Like, she's very spiny. She has sharp edges.
Yeah.
A very, you know, prolific profile. So I can always recognize her in pictures. And then the other seahorse was one I didn't name. That was one I sold, I'm sure.
Well, she's beautiful.
Yeah, there was 4 of them. There was 5 that made it, and I sold 4 and kept her.
Gotcha. I don't mean to keep bragging ahead of time. Video of Vincent's. I couldn't believe it. He's got so many fry. Now they're not fry anymore, but anyhow. Okay, who's this?
So there's Scrappy Doo, alone and growing. Yeah, he spent, because his siblings, like I said, by the time it was a week, by the time they were a week old, I'd lost all but 3. By the time probably before even 2 weeks, I lost the others and only had him. So he lived all by himself.
Wow.
Hunting until he was big enough and trained on mysis to live with the others. So yeah,
what a task, taking care of a tank with just one fry.
With one fry. All. Yeah, he was all alone.
Look at his full orange belly though. That's great.
Yep, he was eating.
Okay. Shyla, and any pictures I'm skipping here? We're gonna come back. Just trying to like go through Holly's first. All right, who are we looking at? Sorry guys about that.
Yeah, so this looks like the teenies probably. They were the last batch that I raised. So that was your Aphrodite is part of that batch.
I think, is that her in the background?
It could be. You might recognize her. Did it say the date on the picture? Was there anything that it said like about it?
Sorry, let me see. I was going to say, it looks like her. I'm not as good as you about
meal time.
Yeah, I'm not as good as you about their
I can
shape.
see it's the grow out tank, and those were some of the later decorations I got for the last batch. So it could be her. I don't know if this is, before or after I shipped out Seahorses. So
it gets confusing.
Very possible.
I think it is. All right.
Like I said, there's several now that don't have names. I don't know who they are.
Well, this one says teeny batch. So is it a nameless beauty?
The teenies batch. Yeah. So that one I didn't name, but I think I know who it is. There's one girl that has no name that has that roundish shape, and she's smaller kind of than the other ones. Yeah. And I think I recognize her. She's a funny one. She chases the turkey baster. Every time I feed the Seahorses, she won't, like most of the other ones, will settle and eat. She chases the turkey baster from place to place because I have several feeding areas in the tank. And she won't just stick to a place and eat. She follows that turkey baster everywhere it's going.
Well, and is that just reflection? I mean, she looks like she has pink eyes.
It might be, but that decoration is, well, it was very bright after being in the bleach many times. It's not that bright anymore, but it might have been a reflection from that bright red coral. Because I don't know, will their eyes change color to match stuff too?
Miss Cheryl, their eyes don't change color, do they? Miss Cheryl?
The eyes typically don't change color. The skin around the eyes can change color. But the
I didn't think so. So that must be probably just reflection.
Yeah. Because the eye itself doesn't change color normally.
All right. Tell us about bubble bath.
And that's one of my favorite things to see was they love bubbles at a certain age. The fry love the bubbles. And so I give them a bubble wand, which you can find just in the fish stores. And they would hitch on it and try to match the bubbles. They would also I called it their Raiders phase too, because they would turn black and silver for a while. The babies did, which was cool. They would be trying to match the cords and the airlines and the bubbles and things like that. So they turn black and silver, but it never lasted. Like I don't have any adults now that want to be black and silver.
Yeah, it's funny how they change, but and it's I love this picture because people still contact us all the time and, are worried about bubbles in a tank, and they love it. They love the flow. They love the bubbles. So great picture.
Okay. Yeah. The only problem I have with bubbles is if you get a male that is courting and opening his pouch, and I've had this happen, they'll go over hitched to the airline with the micro bubbles, build their pouch full of air, and
float away.
They're not always the brightest. As opposed to an open airline, males will hitch over the bubbles, and I call it their bubble massage. Particularly if the more pregnant they get, and you can watch them move back and forth over the bubbles, and they're obviously getting some enjoyment out of them.
Yeah. I don't have anything like that in my tanks right now. I don't have anything that makes bubbles, but in the fry tanks, I used to put those bubble things for.
Well, yeah, and they don't even have their pouches yet at that point. So
no, and they're tiny, and the bubble ones are pretty small too.
Hey, I'll give you an example. I had one male that 3 times within 15 minutes, he was courting a female. He would dance with her. He'd go over. He'd inflate his pouch in the micro bubbles, and he'd float to the top. After 3 pouch backs in 15 minutes, I got rid of the micro bubbles.
Then you got rid of the bubbles, huh? Yeah, so these guys, you can see, they learn seahorses are pretty smart when it comes to food. They learn at a young age what their food comes in. So this is their feeding kit. I have a little Tupperware for each tank, and the strainer, which I use to put the frozen mysis in and rinse it out. And then I put a little salt water in the Tupperware. So I suck the mysis out with a turkey baster. And the seahorses all know when they see that coming that it's time to eat. So you can see they're all gathered around it. They're like, oh, look, there's our food.
Yep, they know. Love it. All right, let's see what we got. Ooh, look at that Siri. Woo!
Oh, the Siri, yeah. Didn't last.
I'm curious, anybody in the... Oh, I'm sorry, Holly. I was just going to say, anybody in the comment section, I'm curious if you're, because I've had the same issue where, and we'll talk to Vincent very shortly, but I've had the same issue where my seahorses will be just gorgeous with this gorgeous Siri, and they don't keep it. And I know Heather has said that the seahorses that she's had that have Siri are always shyer. Did you have that issue with this seahorse, Holly, or did you notice?
No. As you can see, it's right in front with a food dish and me there with the phone. And no, not shy at all. But you'd see how little it is compared to the chain.
Yeah.
So it's about 2 chain links there. So a couple inches probably. But yeah, the Siri didn't last. It was a phase.
Yep.
I think it was Lucia.
I know. And don't worry, Vincent, I'm coming to you soon to find a take on that. But okay, Holly, who are we looking at now?
So I don't know who this is. It might be Sunny, because Sunny is a very bright yellow seahorse now. So maybe she was then. But this was before probably I named them, because I was intent on selling them. So nobody had a name yet.
I love that coloration, though, because usually on every yellow seahorse that I've had, when they prefer to be that bright yellow, their saddle marks are like white. This is more of a darker. Ooh.
Yeah. And this is not normal. This is another phase. None of them are like that now.
We always say, don't buy based on color or marking.
Well, especially when they're young like that, they like to change a lot.
Yep.
So that I'm pretty sure was baby Sadie.
Yep. And how much, just looking at the background, how much Artemia did you have in the tank at all times, or when you fed?
I made a batch of baby brine shrimp twice a day, and I'd put it in the tank in the morning and then again evening, and then just let them eat all day. I was working. I found actually the easiest time of fry is their first few weeks before you start putting them to mysis, because I could leave the house for all day and just let them eat. I put enough food in there for them to eat all day, and then clean up and feed them again when I came home.
Nope, absolutely. I agree. And I won't put Vincent on the spot until we get his video up. Okay, baby Christmas.
Baby Christmas didn't make it. That was Sandy's last batch of fry before he got his bacterial infection. And they were born just before Christmas is how they got the name for that one. So that was the lone survivor, and he tried hard, but he never really grew.
Yeah.
And he was eating, but he didn't change past this point. So this is about the biggest he got. And I don't know what was wrong with him, but I suspect something was. He was kind of like Scrappy Doo. He was the only one left. So I put him in, with the batch previous was the teenies at that point. Mm-hmm. And he was about the size of their face.
Yeah.
He loved them because he was like Scrappy Doo. He grew up alone. He was the only one until he moved in with them. And when he saw a giant seahorse face, you just saw him get so excited.
Yep. But I can tell
them, and yeah, he enjoyed his little life. I had him, I want to say 4 months or something, but he never grew.
Well, you can tell. I was going to say you can tell his head's growing, but his body's not. And I don't feel like that's probably anything to do with you. You already said that you had problems with the parent, so it was probably something more going on. So, but still, good to show. If your seahorse's head's growing and body's not, you might not have much expectation, but
he's very tiny.
Okay,
very tiny.
Yeah. We'll get some pictures of bigger fry and talk about that in a minute. But go ahead.
So
Holly.
that would be Scrappy Doo again at 2 weeks, looks like it says.
Good pictures. All right. And then we got Sadie again, looks like.
Yeah, look at how little she was. Look at her in the dish. So you can see the mysis next to her tail. So that gives you an idea of her size. So she was probably, not much more than an inch there. But
I don't know if it's just
her perfect shape.
I'm so sorry. I don't mean to keep interrupting. I was just going to say, I don't know if it's just like a reflection or what, but I love that it looks like she has a dark stripe down her back. That's so cute.
And yeah. I think it's just the edge. Like I said, she's so sharp. Like she has a profile that's, more prolific than most of my other seahorses have. That's how I recognize her when I see her.
Well, and one thing I always look for in seahorses, and I don't even know if this is legit, like telling you that I'm not trying to say it tells you they're healthy or whatever, but when a seahorse can do a perfect tail curl like that, because I've had seahorses that don't ever curl it up that well. And it's pretty. It just makes me think they're
she's always been very dainty and pretty, as opposed to dandy.
Yep.
So this was when Scrappy Doo got moved into the display tank. So you can see Dandy's in the dish scattering food everywhere, and Scrappy Doo just showed up to see what's going on. He said, "Oh, the food's here." Dandy is my oldest seahorse, and so he's always been like the welcome committee for every new seahorse that goes in the tank, and he's friendly with all of them. So
love it.
All the babies love Dandy.
Scrappy, you're just like, "What's up?" All right, tell us, what's this tank? Tell us about it.
So this was my first grow out tank because I wasn't prepared for raising fry.
Right.
So when they were ready to go in a grow out tank, I really didn't have a setup for them. What I had is a 29-gallon that I now use as a freshwater tank. But all it had for filtration was the blue filter pad and a bio wheel. It was really designed for freshwater.
Right.
So I put them in there, but because I didn't have adequate filtration, really, I had to change the water in that tank every other day, half the water. So a 15-gallon water change every other day, at least. So it was a pain in the butt, but
and what are the things coming out of the power head?
Oh, those aren't power heads. Remember, this tank didn't have a power head.
Oh, that's right.
What those are is decorations you can buy. They're silicone and they suction cup onto the side of the tank. And that's something you can find at Petco or PetSmart. So the ones on the right-hand side, they're mushrooms. Yeah. And the seahorses loved to hang on to those and sit on them. And they glow, like some of those kind of things, they glow under black light or they glow under the bluish lighting or sometimes in the dark even. But yeah, you can see like in the front, there's a little thing that says party. Yep. That was always one of my favorite decorations, and the seahorses too. And that's another thing they sell at PetSmart. But it looks so cute with the little seahorses hanging on to it.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, I think this is adorable. It's, it's adorable.
Yeah, so everything I use for them is fake, for the babies at that time.
All right.
There's
and we got, oh my gosh,
tiny Scrappy Doo. Yeah,
Ooh.
like I said, he moved in with that batch, with Sadie's batch, and that was the size that he was. Only the size of a chain link, but he lived with those bigger seahorses.
He looks like a little mysis.
Yeah, he was tiny. Yeah.
Cute. All right. Oh my gosh, what's this, Holly?
So that was one of the casualties from Baby Christmas's batch. So that's to show you how bad they looked, as newborns. So a bunch of them didn't make it. So that's one that didn't make it. And Christmas was the only one that lived, like I said, but he never grew. He always looked like a little string with a big head. So he had something wrong, and it might have had to do with Sandy developing the bacterial infection.
Yeah, I'm sure you're right. I'm sure.
And this was about the time shortly after that, after Christmas that year, I upgraded my sump and got a big skimmer. And so their filtration wasn't as good prior to that.
Gotcha.
Yeah, there's one of the tiny seahorses learning to eat out of a dish.
So cute.
Yeah,
I can't wait to hear.
Probably Scrappy.
Okay. So,
the new grow out tank.
Okay.
So this was new and improved by the time the teenies came along, which was the biggest batch that I raised. I had got this acrylic tank used from an aquarium shop a couple hours away. And he had got it from Scripps in San Diego. It used to be a Garibaldi tank, I guess.
Okay.
So it was designed as a cold water tank. It's got really thick, like 1.5 inch thick acrylic.
Yeah, you can see it on the side.
Yeah, so I set it up. They got great filtration. They got a nice sump with a big skimmer and everything. So that's where I started putting the babies after they were trained to frozen mysis. So that was my new grow out tank, which incidentally burst a seam and flooded the house about a year later. But that's another story.
Right. Oh my gosh. Okay, room. I know we got to get to the other ones. Okay, and who's this?
Oh, that's thing 2. When he came back to me, he was one that I sold that got passed around by a group of friends. Nobody could really take care of him. They lost the other ones I'd sold to them. When I got him back, he was in 85-degree water and had infections going on. So I ended up treating him for about 5 months and he didn't make it. But he was a pretty seahorse, as you can see here, and he had great personality. He probably, had he been healthy, he was the only one of that batch that I've seen so far that actually knew how to dance. Do the mating dance. So yeah, sadly lost him.
Let's look at a Scrappy Doo.
That's Scrappy Doo now. So
yeah, look at the difference. Wow.
Yeah. So he grew up to be a big, beautiful boy.
Yeah. Good job. He is beautiful. All right. And cooperation.
Yeah. When you raise fry, you'll see them do that a lot. Like they'll hold tails and one of them will drag another one around. So I guess that one gets a break from swimming for a while. And they just eat whatever goes by.
I was going to say, I'm kind of go through some of these quicker, but But no, I was going to say they do that as adults too. My seahorses are constantly dragging each other everywhere. But
Yeah,
look
then
at
it's
all those
more
little
like
guys.
strangulation and less cooperation.
Right.
So yeah, you could see there was a lot more in this batch, and they looked a lot healthier.
Yep.
Yeah, so these are the teenies. They were born in October. So they're turning 2
I
years
need to take
old
it
this
down real quick.
October. So yeah, there you see their party thing.
And which batch was this one?
This is the one that your seahorse came from. So yeah, this is the teenies. So
Yeah.
that I had 20 survivors out of that batch. So yeah, there was a lot of them. You'll see
Siri right there too.
The pictures, yeah.
Beautiful. All right. Can you tell us about Sunny?
And there's Sunny. That's Cheryl's favorite. Cheryl wants Sunny.
I like bright yellow and bright orange Erectus.
Yeah, Sunny is probably the brightest yellow. And she's not always the bright yellow because like the others, she changes based on her mood. See, I don't even know where she is right now. But yeah, she travels around. But when she hangs on up there, she likes to turn really yellow, which is funny because there's nothing there that's yellow. But that's how she wants to be.
She feels safe, or she would change color where she's at.
Yeah, the dish is right under her. Maybe that's why she likes it so much. And there they are. That little decoration, that's another thing I got, just from, I think that one's from Petco.
Yep.
So
and I do want to.
But it's cute when they hang on.
Absolutely. Here's another party time.
Yeah, look how little they are. So yeah, they're probably not much bigger than an inch here. Probably about 2 inches, maybe inch and a half.
And I do want to talk about in that picture at some point. Remind guys that we need to. Oh, that's Lucy. Sorry, trying to jump back and forth here. Oof, look at those seahorses though.
Yeah.
But I did want to talk about algae growing on the seahorses too. But go ahead, Holly. Who's this?
Oh yeah, they have that. Yeah, so this is that Raiders phase I was talking about.
Yep.
Yeah, where they go through a phase. Maybe it's about 3 or 4 months, I think, where they like to be black and silver for a while. But unfortunately, I haven't had anybody keep it.
It's amazing when they go from that dark to bright yellow.
I know. Yeah, I don't know what they're thinking or why.
Right.
Yeah, there's some little cuties. You can see how small they are by the chain links.
Look at their little expressions, though. They're adorable. Okay. And this is Princess again. Good picture.
There's the really spectacular one of her where you can see the pink.
Yep.
See how she's sitting with her coral. So see how it's white, but it has red tips. So she gets a little tiny bit of red to her too when she's hanging out with it.
Really, really pretty. Whoops, sorry. I'm falling asleep on the job here. Here we go. Then we got Dandy.
That's my handicapped boy.
Look at his sparkle.
Yeah, he's my oldest.
And tell us really quick about the handicap.
So he has some kind of, we figured out, I guess it must be a neurological disease. He can't swim very well. He can't move very well. He has poor motor skills. So he has trouble swimming up high. He stays pretty much on the bottom. And he can move around the tank, but when he gets somewhere, he'll like crash into the thing, and he has a hard time maneuvering. So I gave him, just like the young seahorses, the baby seahorses, I gave him a little clamshell dish of his own once he wasn't able to swim up to the feeding stations. So that's where he eats. So he has his own little meals there, but he's really honestly my best eater. Like he'll come at mealtime and stick his face in the dish and wait for the food to come. And then he sits there calmly and eats. Sometimes if he moves around, he'll scatter, he flutters and scatters the food everywhere.
Yeah.
And then I have to sit there with the turkey baster and suck it up and put it back in the dish.
Oh.
But yeah, but he's a sweet seahorse, and the other seahorses love him. So
that's awesome.
And he's getting older. I'm surprised because, like I said, he has something wrong with him, but I don't know what. It's not a disease I can treat. So I didn't expect him to live as long as he had, but he's going on 4 years old now.
Wow. I mean, good job to you, for sure. And this is Sadie, looks like?
That's Sadie, yeah. So that's my beautiful Sadie, adult Sadie now. So this picture was taken not so long ago when I switched the display tank over from reef style, basically, to completely artificial, just because it was easier for me, the upkeep.
Yeah. And was that, do you remember, was that the last one?
I don't remember, but you don't have to share them all. I was just trying to supply you a bunch of pictures.
No, I appreciate it. And let me real quick, and then we'll go to Vincent, and then I'll for sources group and look at the pictures there. We want to show and tell everything. But I think, Cheryl, was this picture from you or Lucy?
That was mine. Yeah, that's one of mine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, tell us what we're looking at.
This is a very young Hippocampus combs, no more than about 6 or 7 days old. And one of the things I discovered with them is they actually have caudal tail fins. And it's even been suggested by Tammy Weiss that they probably have 4, since the tail structure is a basically 4-point box. And what happens is over time, they gradually reabsorb these and they get a normal looking tail. And this was also found with some scientific folks that went in and took a look at it in some of the species in the Cuda complex. We don't see it in Engines, we don't see it in Reedi erectus, but we do see it in some of the other species. The interesting thing about combs is if you have raised them, they typically keep their tail very tightly curled for the first 2 to 3 weeks after birth, and they don't hitch. And this may help explain why they keep their tails tightly curled, because it would be an impediment for them to try to hunt, dragging caudal tail fin rays. This was shot under a microscope.
That's really cool.
What do you think is the purpose of that? Why they developed that way?
I don't think there's necessarily a purpose for it. I think it's probably a vestigial morphogenesis that this particular species and a few others go through. And I suspect the only selective advantage that I can see to it is it does significantly force them to keep their tails curled because they have no tail control and they cannot hitch at this point.
Very cool.
Interesting.
And I think next one would maybe, what's the picture out here?
My favorite picture of all time.
Yeah.
This was a 6-day-old Hippocampus combs, probably roughly about a centimeter long. And real quick, went to snap a picture of it trying to catch food because I was feeding them Apanamensis copepods. And somehow, when this thing came through and popped up, when I downloaded, you can see the snick and you can see the head retraction in the same time frame.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
I don't know how you got that.
They're just so fast. It moved faster than the exposure time on your camera is what happened. That's very cool.
I literally sent this to a friend of mine that's a professional photographer, and I said, what would cause this? And he goes, timing.
Yeah.
Somehow I managed to corrupt the file.
Well, amazing. So glad you did. Very, very cool.
But it just illustrates how fast, it illustrates how fast their snick is.
Oh, yeah.
And we have now we have a picture from Heather. Heather, I know you're out there. Anything you want to tell us about this beauty? I should have been more clear in the post that we wanted like information, names, etc. I'm sorry. If you do comment, I'll come back to it, I promise. But beautiful.
Was that
beautiful
Big George, maybe?
I was going to say, she was here earlier.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she is. She's here.
It just takes a minute for the responses to come in, and I should have done this better, but still, just beautiful picture and beautiful seahorse. Love it.
See, I sent all my weird pictures.
No, you're weird. You were cool.
Oh, it's
And then
Cash.
we've got Andrea.
She says that was
That's
Cash.
Cash.
Yeah.
And wow, with a starfish. I mean, like that's unique. Love it. Love to see them as buddies. Nice picture, Andrea. And then Vincent, let me show.
That
Vincent,
was Coco with the starfish, Andrea said.
Oh, Coco. Sorry.
Coco is her name.
Oh, you're saying, okay, sorry. So this is Coco.
Yeah, because she just came on and said that when you showed it. I just noticed the comment.
And you're saying this is Cash.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. Well, we love Cash and Coco. And Vincent, I'm going to show real quick your make sure I can get it over there correctly. Stop. Share. I was tagged on this by Kevin, and I said, holy cannoli. So let's find out a little bit about Vincent's seahorses. So
yes. This is the seahorse market.
Yeah.
How many seahorses are in there, Vincent?
I have no idea.
A lot.
Yeah, there's too many to count, and they move too much. And this batch was my male and female second batch. The first batch, Vincent, I lost.
One thing I learned very early on, if you want to get a picture of a bunch of them all together, all of a sudden you'll freeze and click real fast.
Go on, Vincent. Tell us what you were saying. Yeah, sorry.
The first batch, they made it to day 30. And then I got a bacterial bloom that took them out overnight.
Oh, no.
The tank turned white. And I did it the way I always did it. But I'm not sure if I didn't clean the brine shrimp good enough, because I always use peroxide. A 50-50 bath, and I do peroxide. And I wasn't doing as many water changes. When the first 3 days, I put them in a fish bowl that I drilled holes in the side, and I put screen door.
Yeah.
And then I put them in a 10-gallon tank, and then I drop a aqua lifter, and it just does maybe a gallon or two a minute. And it circles and it gives them that circulation. I do that for 5 days, actually, because I'm doing it with the formaldehyde.
Right.
And then I take them out and I put them in the 10-gallon tank until about 14 days, when they all start hitching. And then when they hitch, I put them into a 20-gallon tank. And then I do water changes every day. I siphon it out every day. I do water changes almost at least 50%, sometimes 75% a day, every day, until I'm ready to put them into the tub, the mug tubs. And then I put them in there, and then it's easy going from then on. But I don't start feeding them mices until I'm going to move them out of the mug tub, because it's hard to see if they're actually eating it.
Okay,
and
right.
One thing that I have found, if you look at my picture in here, there's a whole a blue thingy behind me with a whole boatload of seahorses.
Yeah.
Those are all Hippocampus engines. And trust me, it's not possible for a hobbyist to raise engines, in my opinion, when they produce several thousand at a time.
Yeah.
And one of the things I found, though, is with the circular tubs, they're self-cleaning, because the flow goes in the same direction, and it tends to help clean it out. Everything else goes into your filter sock. And it's much easier to have a high success rate using the circular tubs and because there's no corners for crap to get stuck in because it's continually flushing itself. It also reduces the energy expenditure on the fry because if you watch them, they will all orient directly into the flow, and rather than trying to chase down fry, or food, what they will do is they will hang out facing into the flow and snick the brine shrimp, copepods, whatever you're feeding them, and it really increased my survivalship with it.
Well, I think Vincent said before we started that he did switch over. What were you saying, Vincent? That it's you don't start feeding them the mysis until you put them in the tub?
I put a little bit of mysis, but I'm really not focused on getting them trained to mysis until I have them in a tank where I can actually view. Because as I'm weaning them off, I want to make sure that they're eating. Sure. And it was hard for me to see in the tub, so I put them in the tank. And that way I can actually see, and I keep giving them the brine shrimp. But then I add mysis, and I was shaving it, but they really didn't like the shave. They went after the whole mysis from the very beginning.
I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I was just going to say I've had seahorses that would only eat mysis that had eyeballs, so I'm totally understanding. Yeah. Go on, I'm sorry.
I've had it go both ways.
Yeah, and this batch is, I was hoping I'd have a 90%, because it wasn't a huge batch, but I was hoping to have 90% success, but I think it's dropped down because I have lost a few that just never really taken to the mysis.
Sure.
Because once I pulled the brine shrimp, that they just didn't take to it.
Oh, we've talked endlessly. I'm terrible at tough love. What, Cheryl?
These are erectus, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. One thing you might want, well, a couple things you might want to do. We all know that brine shrimp are not an optimal food source.
Yeah.
If you get with Chad Clayton or somebody from Reef Nutrition, get yourself some large adult Apocyclops panamensis rods. You will see a much higher survival rate and a much more rapid growth rate. And the other thing is, when you're working with erectus, at 2 weeks, I start introducing frozen. And basically it sits there for 30 minutes. They wait, they finally try it, and they realize it's edible. And once I can get them onto frozen, they grow much more rapidly.
Well, I just have to say, I think that these seahorses look.
Uh-oh, did we lose her?
I think we lost her.
Uh-oh.
But
yeah, those look great. Great job. How many do you think you have now?
I'd say at least 50 or 60.
Nice.
And I used to breed red eye, but that was 15 years ago. And I didn't want to do them because I didn't want to mess with the rotifers or anything. And,
yeah, they seem like they would be a lot harder to me.
Sorry, guys, having computer stuff. I'm still here. Yeah. Keep talking.
But I always watch you guys. I don't always get on, and sometimes I have to wait till the next day to watch. And
sure.
But I've loved seahorses. I mean, my first seahorses were in the mid '80s, wild caught,
nice.
And I've always loved them ever since.
Been there, done that. I know that.
Yeah, that was about my first one. I remember I told Kelly and Cheryl my first seahorses. I think it was like 1989, and I had them with an under gravel filter and a power head.
Well, I still have an under gravel filter tank.
In like a 20-gallon tank. We still have those here too, but I don't use them for the seahorses.
But I got to put a plug in for Robert.
Yeah, I remember when the state of the art was
wait. hang on. Let's let Vincent tell us about what's running this tank. Go ahead with the plug, sir.
Yeah, and the char chamber is another game changer. And
tell us why.
I love it because my salt consumption has dropped down more than half.
Interesting.
Wow.
I mean, it does. It's the char chamber really works. And I mean, I still do some water changes, but not very often and not very much. I just test the water.
I've said the same thing. It's gotten to the point where I myself to do water changes because the tin and clear. It's amazing. I was trying to let this play out to where we could see it because I know it shows it at one point. I know I played it a couple times, but I just impressed. I mean, when I think Kevin was the one that tagged me on this. I was like, oh my gosh, they're so the tin is so good. Yeah. And I do see. Or you do get the little bits of like tuft algae or whatever. Do you pull your ties and clean them, or do you not worry about it?
I really don't worry about the algae. I worry about the stuff on the bottom. And the way I feed them, if you look, I put a little bit in, and I try to do it to where they'll eat it before it hits the bottom.
Yeah,
I don't want anything to collect. Good. And then there are a couple that will go down and eat off the bottom. So I gradually give it, and they're eating. This group is 9 cubes of mysis a day.
Wow. Holy moly.
And
well, that's why they look so healthy.
And they were all orange when they were little. And I thought, oh, great, I'm going to have a bunch of orange.
No.
And they all
don't stay. They change. They get to an age, too, where they'll be different like every time you see them throughout the day.
Well, to me, they're not even growing. They look the same to me because I see them every day. So my wife says, well,
I'm sorry. Go ahead. We all interrupt each other. Go ahead, Vincent. Sorry.
There's some runts in there. You can see that still has a little bit of orange color.
Yeah.
Yep. So this is all the same batch?
Yeah, this is all the same batch.
Was what I called my skunk brood. They were all dark in color, except they had a white stripe down across their back, all the way from their coronet down to the beginning of their tail. They looked like little skunks. And to this day, I have no idea what caused it.
Yeah. I'll probably keep a couple of them, but I'm going to probably sell the majority of them. And I'm just now, I haven't never shipped any, so I'm kind of just checking because most people want me to ship.
Yeah, I had to because I have no one to sell them to here where I live. There's not a lot of aquarium hobbyists here,
and it's hot right now.
Hard.
I hate the shipping.
It's a bad time of year, for shipping.
Where are you at, Vincent?
I'm in South Louisiana.
Oh wow. Okay.
I'm by Baton Rouge, out in a small town. Yeah. But that was my reef tank that you showed. My neglected reef tank.
Did I cut it off? I'm so sorry. Yeah. I'll try to get it back.
That's
real quick. Go into this. Oh, we love to see reef tanks too. But is this just one of your favorites?
Yeah, this is one of the fries.
Yeah.
And how old would you say they are?
In this picture, probably getting close to 4 months.
Yeah, beautiful. They're right about the time you're getting to the point where you can sell them for sure.
Yeah.
They're looking nice.
I'd like to get them to where they're sexable.
Yes. Yeah. Sure. And so your main thing, and I'm gonna go back to show and tell, guys. I promise we're gonna get through all the pictures, but since he brought it up, I thought I'd give Robert a chance to chit chat with this. But Vincent, real quick. So basically, you're just the char chamber. What other? Before I go to Robert, sorry, I'm jumping around, and I need to turn my camera on. But what besides the char chamber? First of all, what was the blue thing on the bottom? That's what I wanted to ask you first. Sorry, I'm jumping.
The blue floor.
Yeah.
That's the foam that's underneath the glass.
Ah,
and it's showing through. And I try to keep that clean. I'll go in when I do a partial water change, and I'll go in and clean it. And the char chamber will keep everything in check, but I just do the water changes because of I don't want the nitrates,
Right.
because nitrates are going to build up over a period of time.
Yeah.
And so I do check my nitrates to make sure. Now my adult tank is pretty ugly. I use macroalgae and live rock, and I get a lot of hair algae. But I don't know if you got the pictures of my H red eyes.
Oh boy.
I posted them someplace.
I'll try to find it while we're talking here.
Solid macroalgae, the whole tank.
I am not. Did you don't remember?
It might have been on it might have been on Humble Fish.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll try to find it as we're here.
I got a shout out to Humble Fish too, because he featured my seahorses on the web page.
Really?
Yeah.
So is it in the, like, where is it in Humble Fish? On the forum?
Oh, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. You know, whenever you did the links, the post your pictures, they were all over the place. They were on R2.
I know.
Yeah, they were all over the place.
I know it. I know it. Hang on. Let me see if I'm going to actually, let me real quick ask Robert to talk a little bit while I search for these pictures, because I want to show them. And we'll ask Vincent some more questions, and I'll get to any questions in the comments, guys. But Robert, can you tell us why these char chambers are such a game changer in all tanks, but also a seahorse tank? Tell us what it's about, why it works, why it helps us, if you could, please.
Well, you know, people have asked me, you know, how do they work? And I say they work great. As far as, as far as you know, all the chemistry involved, it's just an amazing invention, and I had no idea it was going to work as well as it does. Now, Vince was talking about how the babies are eating so much, and I've noticed the same with my clownfish. My clownfish, I've never had clownfish that ate so ravenously and that have eaten so much. I could feed them 12 times a day, and they'll just continue to eat. I have tanks set up here. I was going to show the tank off before, but the lights went out. I have about 75 fish that are about 1.25 inches in a 10-gallon tank with about 7 gallons of water. I haven't done a water change. I don't do any water change, and I feed dense. Now, Vince, I love your tank. I love your setup. I love the babies, and they're doing so well. And I also like to add macroalgae to the tank. And it does help with the nitrates, because that is an issue. I have had some bacterial blooms, and I heard someone talking about bacterial blooms in their seahorse tank, and that's not a good thing. I'm guessing it doesn't hurt the clownfish at all. Now, what happens with my char chamber? Now, that's, as you know, and Kelly, you have one too. How do you like it? Do you love it?
First of all, I love the one that's in my 40-gallon all-in-one. I was saying earlier, I have to force myself to do water changes because it's so clear. This one's waiting for the fry tanks, but
awesome.
Go on.
Yes, yes. So now what that is, it's a wood-based charcoal that has a lot of micro and macro pores, which house the bacteria. Now the chamber itself, you know, you have the sponge on the bottom that collects a lot of the solid waste, and everything that gets through the sponge goes up and feeds the bacteria. Now, that is packed full of bacteria, packed full of aerobic bacteria, and as you know, aerobic bacteria needs oxygen. So the air stone in the bottom of the chamber brings the oxygen right up to the bacteria, and it just thrives. I've never seen anything like it. You know what? The food. Now, on the bottom of my larval tanks, you know, the food is always really clumpy and sticky. With the char chamber, it's not. I scrape the bottom now, and the stuff just flies all over the tank. It doesn't really stick together. The bacteria is eating the food, which is amazing. Now, I have a couple chambers here myself. Same one. Let's see. Hold on. There we go. Now, I also have other sizes. I want to show you some of the other sizes that I have, like this one here. And there are also a 2-inch PVC that actually goes over this flush bushing. and that is good for 60 to 75 gallons. This one here is good for 40 to 50 gallons right here. And I just want to show you this real quick.
Please.
My next chamber.
Whoa.
Yeah, there you go. People are asking. This one here is good for about 800 gallons.
Wow.
I may cut it a little shorter, but I have to find the proper caps and the fittings to connect it to the bigger sponge filter. Now, again, I have sold a lot of these char chambers to people, and I'm getting the same responses from everyone. They can't believe how well they work and the success they're having. I have people that have had their very first clownfish hatch, and they're keeping all the babies alive. And that, to me, that's why I call it the game changer. It really is. Now, it took me 2 years to get my first love of clownfish to live. 2 years. I don't ever want anyone to have to go through that. And the only reason I was able to do it is because I'm very passionate about what I do, about the clownfish, and I love seahorses. I don't know if you can see that picture behind me. Let me see if you can see it. Oh, hold on. No, probably not. Well, hold on. I don't know if you can see that. There you go. That picture there.
I see a tub.
Yeah, that picture right there is walking distance from my house. It's trying to think of the name of it, Belford Co-op. It's a seafood co-op, and I used to go down there and hang out and talk to the fishermen, and one of the conch fishermen would pull up seahorses on his line, and I told him, I said, you need to throw those right back wherever you take them from. You need to put them right back. But he had a couple, and he said, here, you want to take these, and it's too late to put them back. It was a shame.
Right.
But I took them and I bred them, and man, that was what a great opportunity I had. They spawned in my tank right away. I did have a little problem with keeping the tank clean enough, and now that I invented these char chambers, I really want to try it again. I definitely want to try it again. I see the success that you're having there, Vince. That's awesome. Vince, you have the sharks as well, right?
What? Sharks? No,
yes.
I don't have sharks.
That's the other Vince. Sorry, I get people.
That's the other Vince. But I will say that I have found for myself with macroalgae and live rock and I'll say dirtier tank for my mature adults, I have better breeding.
Oh, really?
My H red eye.
Oh, wow.
I mean, that's why the pictures of the H red eye, if you don't find them today, or I'll get them.
Oh, I found them. Hang on. Let me show them while you're working.
Oh, yeah. Let's see them.
Hang on, guys. Let Vincent talk, and then we're
going
back
to that thing was just loaded with macroalgae. It had Cheeto.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, and everywhere they swam was macroalgae. It was loaded with pods, not them little bitty tiny hard pods that they sell at the fish store, but the bigger white pods. And they fed on those all the time. And I would supplement with myces. And I had those guys for years. And actually, them are my favorite seahorses. They're gone. I gave them to a friend when we relocated from Wichita, Kansas to Louisiana in 2006.
I'm curious with the macro, because in my experience, I've seen major issues with aptasia and other stuff that I don't.
I didn't have any aptasia. Now, I will say in my tank now, it did come in with the macro. And I'm going to have to do something about it. The adults, it really doesn't.
The adults, they know
how. They stay away from it, and it really don't affect. I would never put fry in a tank with any aptasia because I don't think they would survive.
No.
So I'm probably going to do a switch.
Sorry,
I've lost fry to aptasia in the past.
Well, I was just going to say, actually, Vincent, Dan, and I, who will be doing Ask the Seahorse next week, have discussed at length the fact that he doesn't like to. He's not doing it anymore, but he didn't like to show his tanks because his adult tanks were growth. They were gross. In my tank, when my mother passed and I lost my mom, I kind of let it go, you know, and I was like, I don't care about anything. But then I was like, oh, I feel so bad. Look at that tank. It's covered in green and nasty. The Seahorses loved it.
Yeah.
They loved it. So, but I mean, that's when you have a very, very established tank and Seahorses that you've had for a long time. Totally agree. But in the meantime, I'm loving the idea of using a char chamber to not have to deal with that in fry tanks. And then, you know, like my 40-gallon all-in-one couldn't handle all of that.
I want to put a char chamber in my big tank. I like to put it in every tank.
I know.
I think there's a benefit to every tank.
Thank you.
Even my reef tank. I'd like to put one in. They're not unsightly to me because it's a tool. And that's what I'm concerned with is the health of the fish and the livestock. And that's why I'm concerned about shipping. I do not want to lose
we can absolutely help you with shipping. Come next week, and after we ask all the peroxide questions, Dan's the one that taught me to ship, taught Holly to ship. So we can definitely help you with shipping if you decide to do that. If you don't, totally understood.
Robert,
but yeah, and in my 40-gallon all-in-one, I mean, the whole reason I set up this tank, because I'm with Cheryl and Ray and everyone else who says the bigger the better when it comes to Seahorses, the more water the better, and a sump is the best. I agree with that 100%. But I know there's a lot of people out there that want to keep Seahorses and don't have the space, don't have the ability to have all this crazy equipment. And the char chamber is like a perfect way to compensate. Yeah. So like in my 40-gallon all-in-one, there's no sump. And I put it together to prove that you can keep Seahorses if you just want to keep Seahorses. Maybe not if you want to like breed a bunch or do some crazy stuff. But if you just want a Seahorse tank, you can do it in a 40-gallon all-in-one or a smaller tank. And with all-in-one, this fits in the back chamber. Well, I'm making a video, guys. It's not done, but I've been
mine is an all-in-one, but I have it in the front. And it's a 40.
Why did you do that?
It's just, I don't know, because I have a skimmer on one section.
Gotcha.
And then the other section has some foam to catch stuff. But yeah, that's a 40-gallon all-in fryer. And I want to up them to a 75-gallon. So I'm going to switch them. I'm going to take my.
Ryan, I'm going to eat again in a minute. This is almost over.
Go ahead, sir. Sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Vincent.
No, that's what I'm going to do. But the char chamber. And if you look at Robert's tank with his 32-year-old clownfish, he has algae growing in there and stuff like that. I think it's actually natural. It's a natural filtration, you know, and you can harvest it out.
Yep. Absolutely. I'm all about macros. Everyone knows that for sure. I'm all about algae scrubbers and all that, and the char chamber adds to it. Now, Cheryl's point was very valid, though. Like if you're just starting out and you're not breeding or whatever, then you want to stay as clean as you can because it can bring an aptasia. Like the algae that I have, I've had for years. You know what I mean? So I know there's nothing in it. We've talked lots about quarantining macros and what you can do, but totally agree with everything you said. And Vincent, is that your next big step? Because that was my big problem. When my Seahorses started breeding, I was like, cool. And then I lost a batch and I only kept one fry alive. And then I was like, I really want to get better at this. I want to keep them alive. And Dan kind of taught and trained me. And I learned how to keep them alive. And then I was like, oh shit, excuse my language, sorry, oh poop, I've got 500 Seahorses, now what? It was insane. But you're proving, I know I'm rambling, but you're proving that you can do it even in a smaller tank if you're willing to do the maintenance. We talk all the time about it. You know, have all the equipment, have the char chambers, and you know, if you can't do sumps and stuff, just do the maintenance. So I'm so glad you've come on and showed us that. I'm going to shut up now and let you talk.
Well, I just got one more thing I'll add is this is something I'll probably just do 1 or 2 batches a year, is because it's a full-time job.
Oh yeah.
All weekend trips and vacations are out the door. And I, you know, I mean, you just can't do it constantly. It's not a business. I'm retired. And it's just a love I've always had. And but I want to sell them. I get a lot of people that never had salt water, and I tell them you need to learn salt water first before you get into seahorses. I just can't, you know, encourage somebody to start out with seahorses because it's a little bit.
I started.
Yeah, I mean, it can be done, but a lot of people don't have the patience and the dedication.
Yeah.
I was going to say, actually, Holly actually had to go through that, where when she was selling her seahorses, she had to literally educate people and teach them everything about them.
Yeah.
So it can be coming out for sure.
Well, because like I said, where I live, it's pretty rare for people to even have aquariums, let alone saltwater or seahorses. I had like teachers calling me, wanting to set them up for the classroom, and I'm like,
right.
I don't think they're really the right thing
for
that.
I have a couple stores that are interested in them locally, and then I have friends that own a store in Wichita, Kansas. I'll probably send them some, and you know, but it's a lot of fun. But it's a lot
Vincent,
of
do you feel like your seahorse tanks, and of course, again, anybody watching, if you just want to keep a couple of seahorses, get you a char chamber and put up a tank in your game. But if you're looking to breed, so just my question to you, Vincent, is just in keeping seahorses, not all the fry, not raising fry and all that, but do you feel that a seahorse tank is way more difficult than a reef tank, or what's the comparison for you?
I don't know if it's more difficult. I think you have to be more, to me, you have to be more dedicated. You have to be dedicated on water quality. You have to be dedicated on feeding them. You know, it's not just feed them once a day or, you know, forgetting about it. So I think there's a little bit more work with seahorses in that aspect. And, you know, my reef tank runs itself. I mean, I don't have to worry about nothing. And but the seahorses, you know, I'm always concerned. I mean, I look at them and I see them now, they're not acting right, and it's just me. You know, they disappear. I can't find them. They're stuck someplace in the rock hiding. And I don't know. It's not. I'm sure they're as healthy as any fish, but I think it's just dedication.
Sure. And Holly, I was going to ask you, looking at Vincent's video, did you feel they were collaborating and cooperating, or they were choking each other? What do you think?
No, at this point, they're still cooperating.
Okay.
Very cool.
Just wait till they get a little older. And
well, one of them will grab a head, the other one will grab a tail, and they'll be yanking.
Yep.
Getting pulled apart.
Yeah, and Robert, sorry. Go ahead, Holly. Were you
no, I was just commenting. I said, no, they're funny. Seahorses are funny to watch. They do funny stuff all the time.
And can we all I will show all the pictures, guys. I just want to get through. I want to talk to Vincent and Robert in case they have to go, but I will show all the pictures. We will do the giveaway very shortly. But Holly, may I say, I love that your glasses match your shirt. Very cool. And Robert, I mean, we kind of jumped around, but and I got cut off. My computer kind of went wacky, but just real quick, we've said it's a game changer. I've said it. I have to force myself to do water changes. Obviously, Vincent uses the char chamber. I know Heather does too. But so it's basically it's the media that's in it, because it's not just an activated carbon. It also becomes biomedia, right? Aquachar, and then it's also the system that this doesn't tumble, right? Just to be clear. It just pushes the air or the water through it, air through it, I guess.
Yes.
Do you want to tell any more about this? Or?
Well, it is a self-cleaning filter as well. You know, with the air going through it, nothing settles. Like if you just take that char and you put it in a bag and you put it in your fish tank, you're going to have to take it out every couple of weeks and rinse it off, clean it. You know, it gets really nasty. This is a self-cleaning filter, which is really cool. I put two of those, the size you have in your 40. I put two of them in a 40-gallon breeder. Standalone tank, new water, just 2 char chambers, and I put an ammonia badge in there to see what would happen. And of course, I put 250 fish in there right away. And by day 7, I got an alert on the ammonia badge. By day 17, it went to safe and stayed there. That tank is, the fish, they just, I can't believe how fast they're growing, how well they're eating. There are no more flared gills. There are no fish dying. I have 100% survival rate, which is unheard of.
Wow.
And it's all because of the char chamber. And, you know, I don't know, maybe I should just say I got lucky. I don't know, but
no.
But what I created is definitely a game changer. And if you don't have one, you should probably get one or two, or yeah. And you were talking about Vince was talking about the algae in the tank. You know, I used to talk to Mark Weiss all the time. Mark is old school. I don't know if you guys know of him. He has he used to reef bugs and things like that. Yeah, Mark's an awesome guy, really nice guy. But he told me, he said, you know, if you take a dive in the ocean, nobody's there. Nobody's in the ocean cleaning the rocks. And, and I had to laugh. And he was the first one to actually breed flame angels. And he did that in a tank that was filthy, that was just full of algae and, you know, and more natural, like you said, Vince, more natural.
Yeah.
But and I get the pristine tank too. You know, people don't like to look at the algae, nuisance algae, and stuff like that, and I get that. But you know, it's not really detrimental to your tank. You know, it is good for your tank. It, you know, produces oxygen. You know, and it eats nitrates, so it's all good. If you don't mind looking at it, it's all good. But I like to keep it under control a little bit myself. But
yeah, that's it.
Absolutely. And the only reason I say like anything different is because, you know, when Cheryl and Dan and Ray talk, and that's why I always try to give the comparison, because they're talking about like breeding seahorses on a commercial level or you know, an extreme level. You want to control everything, right? So you don't even want to give algae control or anything control. But I still think these guys would help in any tank. But with the algae, I totally agree. Like I said, in my 65, those seahorses were happy as clams, which wasn't a good comparison. But when the tank went to poo, they loved it because it was their natural habitat.
Yep.
However, I also see Cheryl's point when it comes to you want pristine if you're breeding or whatnot, you know.
Yeah.
Question.
Robert. I do have a question. How effective are these without the sponge filters? I'm not a big fan of sponge filters. I run K1 media in my tanks, and I'm thinking that the aqua char could be used in a similar manner to the K1 media. Minus,
well, you wouldn't want to tumble it.
Well, you wouldn't have to tumble it. You have to have airflow going through it. It's the same principle.
And you want air. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. You want air going through it as well.
Right. It's aerobic metabolism is what it is.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So could you take the sponge off, Robert?
No. The air won't go up through the chamber with the sponge off.
Makes sense.
I actually have one here with a stainless steel air stone. I'd love to put those in my chambers, but they are like $13 a piece, so that's not cost effective, and you know people don't want to pay an extra $13.
No, I'm thinking out loud because I have a tendency to get ideas, and I listen to things, and I hear people talk about it. I've been using K1 media for going on 15 years because somebody mentioned it to me, and I tried it out and went, "Whoa, this really does work." And I'm thinking this is a step above K1, but I'm trying to figure out exactly how I would implement it due to my, me and sponge filters just don't get along.
Why not, Cheryl? Why don't you like sponge filters?
Because they tend to get dirty. They tend to get messy. They have to be cleaned constantly. So you're always pulling them out. And it's one of those things where they not only that, the ones that I've seen in the past have a tendency to rust on the bottom, and it just that I do not need iron in my tanks.
Yeah.
Robert, you want to respond? Go ahead.
I heard you mention that on a previous Wine Wednesday, and I've been looking at the bottom of my filters. I don't see any rust. However, I did drop 2 of my filters, and then when I shook them, they rattled a little bit, so I threw those away. I don't want to risk it, but yes, as long as they don't, as long as water doesn't get in there, you'll be okay. I don't know how water would get in there unless you drop them, so you have to be careful with that as well. And also, before I go, I just wanted to say I'm wearing this Robert King's Clownfish T-shirt only because I don't have a Seahorse Whisperer T-shirt yet. I just want to say that.
I'm going to get you one. I actually have them. My site's just down, so I'm going to send you one. Darn sure.
Yeah. I'm always experimenting with stuff and trying to improve what I'm doing. And over the years, it has definitely paid off. But then I see something doesn't quite go the way I want, and then I have to scratch my head and go, well, what can I do to circumvent this problem but still get this effect? Yeah. That's kind of what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah, I don't clean my sponges. Well, I haven't cleaned them in about 8 months, and they're really not dirty. And if you take them out and you squeeze them, which I have, it's a lot of black from the char. But that powder, that char powder, actually eats all the waste in the sponge, so it doesn't really need to be cleaned that much. Also, real quick, that powder that comes out of your char chamber, if you don't rinse it, if you just stick it in your tank and let it run, you'll get some black dust. That is very, very beneficial to your tank. Now, a person used just the char itself in a bag, didn't rinse it, put it in his tank, and he got this big black plume of smoke. It looked like smoke, but he had corals that were bleached. And they came back. That was before he put the char in there.
Oh, okay.
And then in 2 weeks they came back with a vengeance. They came back so well that now they are taking that charred dust, and they actually have like a little robot. It's either called a squid or an octopus. I think it's called a squid. That is at a reef in Belize where there's a lot of bleaching going on. And they're taking that char and they're spreading it over the reef.
Oh, wow.
I
tell you, I didn't rinse mine when I put it in. I didn't bother.
You didn't?
I saw that.
I build all my own stuff, so I'm trying to decide. I want to get some. I want to do it. I want to experiment with it. And I'm trying to put together, because usually when I experiment, I'll do 2 or 3 different ones and try them each in different tanks and see what they do.
Yes.
That's where I'm coming from right now. I'm thinking this one through, how I want to experiment with it.
Well, Cheryl, you never know. You might be the winner tonight. We're going to spin the wheel in a minute.
Yeah.
But Vincent, what were you saying?
Well, I saw what he was talking about. I think it was the guy from Aquachar was talking about the Belize thing. I think that was it was on your show, wasn't it, Robert?
Maybe a long time ago. I had a problem with the I don't even know. I don't want to say, but I had a problem with someone. They from Aquachar, not the owner, not the owner, but someone from Aquachar. They tried to steal my idea.
I saw that too.
Yeah, and now it's I have a patent pending. I feel a little better about that. It took a little while to get that, but yeah. So I don't even call it by name anymore. I just call it char.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't use charcoal, and I haven't used charcoal, activated carbon or anything in my aquariums for years. The char is the first I've used in probably 20 or some years.
Yes.
I'm impressed.
I'm curious when you're saying that.
Well, and I want to say I love my char chamber, but I also love my Aquachar. I know there's stuff going on. We need to talk on the side, but I love both, just for the record.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's a great product. Great product. Absolutely. Yep. I will never say anything bad about the product. It's a great product. I will, however.
I started using K1 Media over 12 years ago when nobody in the fish world was even using it. And I read up on it, did research on it, and it does work very well. But I think Aquachar it's the same principle, but on steroids, basically.
Ah, yes.
See, I don't think so though, because the Aquachar, it's completely different than K1 because it does both. It does the activated carbon without being technically activated carbon, with all the problems that comes with activated carbon, and then it turns into a K1 like media that's bio friendly, especially if you're using a char chamber that pushes the air through it.
Right.
Like he was saying earlier, I tried to do the aquachar on my own, just, you know, shoving it in a bag in the sock or shoving it in. I tried, you'll see in the video if I ever get it done and release it, I tried to put it into one of those little PetSmart type internal filters.
You're not going to have the flow.
It wasn't getting the flow. It needed the air coming through it, which is where the char chamber comes in. So I'm hoping, I love them both. I hope they, you know, everything comes together again. But either way, these things are awesome. That was my only point.
I'll keep pushing them and everything until Robert puts production in China.
Yeah.
As he does that, I'm done.
One of the things that I did when I first started using K1, and as I said, I'm going back years ago, before Aquachar, and I literally took all my old Coral Life super skimmers that I hated with a passion, cut the innards out of them, drilled holes in them, and turned them into aerobic metabolism.
Yeah. You know, I like you. I like you. Yeah, you're like me. You're like me. You always have to tinker with things and make it better. Just make it better. That's the name of the game.
How can I use these and how can I improve what I'm doing?
Yes.
And that's and that's why I'm looking at the Aquachar now going, gee, what can I do now?
Hey, real quick, Susan, thank you so much for coming tonight. Thank you for everybody who tuned in on Robert's page also. We really appreciate you guys coming. So what I'm going to do real quick, because I know that Vincent and Robert are probably going to tell us in a second they got to go. We could talk all night. I will show every single picture before I log off. But I think we should probably spin the wheel real quick so you can hear Robert. Okay. All right.
Do it. Let's do it.
Fast. I have to log
How many people? How many people do we have on that wheel?
Well, I just realized I missed a few from Humblefish. As Vincent pointed out, I posted this everywhere. Didn't go check.
It's all Holly. It's all Holly.
A couple more people. Paul B. Not sure who that is, but Paul B. And I think I have everybody. You guys, if I don't, feel free to complain to me, and maybe I'll just send you a charge chamber. We'll see. But if I've missed your name, we're just gonna if you posted a picture and I don't have your name on this wheel, then let me know and we'll work something out on the side, because I did try to do this all fair, but obviously didn't do a very good job. Anyhow, I'm gonna have to pause myself here, log on this computer, so give me 1 sec, guys. I'll be right back. Holly, that means you're in charge. Talk for 10 seconds.
Always makes you
it's a good time to have a drink, actually.
And then she gets lost.
Holly, I love your seahorses. I loved your seahorses. I see them on Facebook all the time, and it's nice to hear the backstory on the pictures. Very cool.
Yeah, awesome. No, they're cool little creatures. I think that's
Holly,
my favorite thing about them is the personalities. They're all different.
I don't name my seahorses or fish.
I don't have them all named. The ones in my display tank, there's 4. They're all named, but in the grow out tank, I have 8. And how that happened, I couldn't sell them. So I don't know how you're going to do your 50. And good luck convincing them that you only want to raise a couple batches.
The thing is with raising seahorses is it does get easier over time as you learn more and improve your husbandry.
Yes.
That's going painfully slow.
I know it. Sorry. I'm trying to get it. I'm trying to make sure I have all the names. All right.
A little glitchy. That's okay.
All right. Here we go. Click to spin.
Oh, there we go.
I'm not fancy enough to have. Holy crap. Vincent!
Vincent! All right. Way to go, Vincent. That's awesome. Congratulations.
He's going to need some more for all those babies.
Kelly?
Yes, sir.
Spin that wheel one more time.
I missed it by 1.
So did
Well,
Holly.
you got another chance right here.
No.
Andrea.
Andrea. All right, Andrea. Andrea sent me a picture of her char chamber. She already has one.
Okay.
Or two, and it had the seahorse was hanging on the tube coming out of the top of the char chamber, and that's where he hung out. Yep.
Nice.
Show
Very
us
cool.
again, then.
What's that?
Cool.
Nothing. I'm echoing. Hang on. Let me get back in.
Very cool. All right, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I just recently sent Andrea another one.
Very cool.
He's not going to do it all these char chambers.
I know it.
That's their bubble bath, she says.
You can't have too many.
Guys, thank you so much for having me on. I always enjoy Wine Wednesday, even though I hate to say this, but I don't drink. But I still love Wine Wednesday.
Nice.
And,
thank you.
I love getting new ideas and things to experiment with. First time I heard about media, I was just gotten off to work, and I was still on company talking, and Dan Underwood called me, and he was telling me about the K1 media. And that's how I got started doing the K1, and I built my own reactors and stuff. And it's like, aquachar, what can I do with this?
But listen, send me a friend request, and we will definitely talk. And
the thing is,
we'll pick each other's brains.
Yeah, it's one of those things where there's there's always room for improvement.
I agree.
There's always a better way to do it and something better to use. But you have to study to use it correctly.
And you saw Robert's already coming up with the 800 million gallon char chamber. And Robert, I know we've kept you all night, and I didn't have my wheel spinning quite well, but I really appreciate you coming, and you're welcome anytime. And everybody, I will put the link in the description, but make sure to go check out his page too, because he's doing great things with fish. We've talked endlessly about how many of these things coincide. Seahorses, clownfish, breeding, all of it's the same. So, and the char chamber works for everything. So thank you so much for coming. I will show the rest of the pictures, but I just wanted to say thank you very much for coming.
Yeah. And I would like to thank you also, because there's a lot of people out there. Just because I'm a goofy do-it-yourself, build something weird, most people want something that's already ready to go, that they just put something in and they're just going to put it together. And I'm liking this aquachar, and I really want to try out one of these
char chambers.
Yeah.
I was going to say, because I am the type of person that just wants to put it in and go. I don't want to tinker. You guys
plug
can
and
tinker.
Plug and play. That's it.
That's what I want right there. This is why I love it. So,
Robert, wish list for sure.
I've got a ragdoll cat, and he's a sweet cat, and he loves getting into sumps when I'm building it. Okay, and I build my own sumps. One day I was filling one, and he jumped in.
Oh my!
Well, he came back out equally fast, ran across the floor, and I'm grabbing him, trying to dry him off. Now he's learned when there's a sump that he wants to get into, you test with your paw first.
Hey, and real quick shout out to Kevin. Thank you so much, because Kevin's the one that sent me a char chamber.
Yeah.
Kicking butt in my 40-gallon. Of course, I'm still waiting on the fry for this one. Sorry, Kevin.
I was just saying, what are you doing with the dry one there?
And I'm waiting. I want to use it. I'm going to do a test with different fry sumps and see, try to show and prove how much of a difference it's making. But my damn seahorse has to give me fry first. So anyhow, Robert, I know you have to go. I appreciate so much. You've spent so much time with us. I will hook you up with Cheryl on the side for sure. And please know you're welcome anytime to come back.
Well, thank you for having me. And if anyone's interested, anyone that's watching these, they are $39 plus $10 shipping.
Thank you.
So let me know, just send me a message, private message, and we'll get one out to you. Absolutely. Thank you again for having me on. Always a pleasure. And we'll see you next Wednesday.
Yep. And don't
Thank
forget,
you.
he does live streams all the time. So go check out the page. It will be in the description. We'll see you soon,
Yes.
Robert. Thank you.
See you later, Robert.
All right.
Take it easy.
Vince, good to see you.
Yeah.
Robert.
Yes.
Kevin said send one to Cheryl.
Send one to Cheryl. Who said that?
Kevin. We'll talk on the side. I'll message you. Don't worry.
All right, Cheryl. All right, you guys.
We kept Mr. Robert all night, but thank you, Kevin. You're awesome.
Awesome. Yes.
I haven't met Kevin, but he lives in the same town as I do. We haven't met.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
I believe so.
Very cool.
It's the same Kevin. Yeah.
Kevin Wisen.
Yeah.
Awesome guy. All right, guys, have a great night, and see you next Wednesday.
All right.
Absolutely.
I'll see you before that.
All right. Yes.
Yeah, we need to go to his page and watch his streams.
All right. Oh, by the way, I just got over 6,000 followers, 6,100.
All right.
Nice.
And I just put a char chamber in my 3-day-old baby tank. I'll show you more about that when you come on my live.
You put your baby in a tank?
Oh, Cheryl.
Well, the baby's 3 days old. He can handle it. All right, everybody, have a great night.
All right, I'll message you. Thank you, Robert, so much.
Great.
See you later,
and guys, I do want to fulfill my promise to share the rest of everyone's pictures because this was show and tell. And so I'm gonna go ahead and do that now. And if anybody has to go, feel free. But I want to make sure that I do share everyone's beautiful pictures that they shared with us. And next time I'll get the wheel a little bit better. But yeah. Anyhow, Andrea's got another char chamber. Nice. And we have I think I showed Heather's. Yep, Andrea's. I showed Vincent's. And we'll talk with Vincent a bit more if he's able to stay. But here we go. I'm going to share. Right here we have Susan Mara's Princess Zelda. Ooh. Susan, if you're out there, tell us more about her. But look at those saddles. Ooh,
beautiful seahorse.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, that's like
very pretty.
Gorgeous, gorgeous seahorse. And then we have. Let's see what's next. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna do it this way. And then I know we had Lucy somewhere here. Guys, I just want to make sure I show every single one. Shada's seahorse, probably pregnant. Mm-hmm. You the comment for the culprit. Oh, okay. I'll show this to
underneath. Yeah.
But look, he looks either pregnant or showing off that pouch. And there's the culprit.
Peeking out from behind.
Oh, look at that mama. Oh, she's egg-filled right there.
Yeah.
He's giving you that.
Cheryl, is that a good
look?
Indication she's hugely egg-filled when they're round like that? Did Cheryl leave?
No, she's here. I see her.
No, I'm here.
Well, seahorse is round like that. That's a pretty good indication she's full of eggs, right?
Actually, she can get a lot bigger. I've seen them more than twice that size as they mature, when they get full of eggs. And I mean, like huge. They look like balloons.
And then she was showing us, you can see Howl here. Whoops, I gotta make him. How do I get that big? Let's see. Okay. But I can't read it at the same time, unfortunately. So, let's watch what it says. Cute seahorses, though.
Yeah.
Oh, look at him. Oh, look. Oh, this is the. Let's knock the boot.
Yeah.
This is a young pair.
Yeah, look at him. Oh.
It is, but did you see him do the head thing? Mm-hmm. Just slightly.
Yeah, they're kind of shy. They're so cute.
Oh, look at him.
She's leaning his way. She's all.
Look at the black stripe down her keel.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean, Cheryl?
It's just her color. It just is. I always find it interesting when I see stripes like that.
Oh, and she said you can see Hal here changing back to his original color after getting caught trying to do the deed. I knew it. Flash it one more time. I knew he was trying to do the deed. Knew it. Yep, they got caught.
That black stripe on that one.
Yeah, I know. And then wait, where'd it go? There was something else in there. I thought. Sorry, guys. Next time I'll just save the videos and pictures and have them ready on Facebook because it doesn't work very well. And then this is Sophie having an eyeliner kind of mark around her eyes. It's something I've seen on whitey eye pictures when I search them up on Google. Wonder if it's a signature trait. Cheryl, thoughts? That black around the eyes.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at that. It definitely normal coloration. As to specifically how they're doing it, that I don't know. How or why. The thing is, I found that like the yellow seahorses and the white seahorses oftentimes get darker spots in places where you don't expect it. When they get
I wonder if it's a. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, when I get worried is when I see white spots.
Oh yeah, I don't think she's worried. I think she was just saying.
Let's talk about the eyeliner. Is that a common trait on that type of seahorse? The eyeliner look.
And I've never seen that.
Ring around the eye.
I don't know enough about the species to be able to guess. Get Chris, Carey, or somebody, one of those.
Yep, we will hit Chris Carey up, Miss Shyla. But I think it's beautiful.
It is. Yeah, it's a beautiful seahorse.
Mm-hmm.
And then let's see. I know Lucy was in here somewhere. I want to make sure to share Lucy's picture. Did I pass it, you guys? Here's Dawn.
Maybe.
Dancing with myself. No, Dawn. I have my very first TikTok. I know I'm too old to be doing TikTok, but I tried to do a channel. My very first TikTok is where they're literally dancing with their reflections. But those are some gorgeous yellow seahorses.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yellowish orange.
Orange, wow. Yeah. Orange, really orange.
Whew. I'm curious, Dawn, if you see this later or if you're here now.
Glass.
What, Cheryl?
I've had Fry poking at the glass and looking at the reflection. And I know Dan says they can't see the reflection, but they're seeing something. Because I had one guy that was literally doing somersaults and all kinds of crazy stuff, one of my Combs Fry. And it was hysterical to watch because he was obviously seeing another seahorse.
Yes,
responding to
I agree. I agree. And we'll hit Dan up next week and bug him and ask him about that again. Because I know he has said that, but I totally agree. They're seeing reflection.
I think in the corners they can because of the way the corners come together.
Mm.
I think when they're in the corner, they can probably see their reflections.
Well, see, this seahorse was actually in a bare-bottom tank, and the bottom was blacked out, but there was a light coming in from the top.
Mm-hmm.
And you could look into the tank, and you could clearly see it looked like there was another seahorse doing the exact opposite of what the one seahorse was doing. And it was hysterical to watch. And this went on for over 10 minutes.
Exactly. I go look at Seahorse Whisperer on TikTok, y'all, because you'll see my seahorse that isn't as yellow or orange as that. These are beautiful seahorses. Mm-hmm. Very curious, Dawn, where you got them. I'll go comment it on the post because they're gorgeous. And look how smooth they are. Like the one in the middle. They're like you said, Holly, earlier about your seahorse having more spiny structure and profile, etc.
Mm-hmm.
That one's so smooth. It almost looks CUDA to me. I mean, it's not. I know it's not, but just the smoothness is and the coronet. So love it.
Trying to figure out what she's saying.
So I want to know more. Love it. Thank you so much.
Don't change it yet. Don't scroll back for a minute.
Okay.
To see what she says in terms of the species on this.
I think she did.
Think she says.
Yeah, she just said it was just on my post, girl. It says, I call this dancing with myself. Maybe I should change the caption to the Three Stooges and their twins. And I love that. But I have videos, endless, of my seahorses, and I know they're seeing themselves because they're literally dancing up and doing flips and doing tricks and showing themselves in the reflection. Vincent, before I move forward, do your seahorses see themselves, or do you think they don't?
I don't think they see themselves because I don't think they see a reflection because they're looking through the glass. So I don't think they actually see a reflection.
So why are they dancing like that?
I have no idea.
I have seen mine do that against the blue. Like in my display tank, it has a solid blue background. The acrylic is actually dyed blue, and they will dance against it with themselves sometimes. So I don't know why, because they obviously can't see themselves in that. Maybe just practicing their moves. Maybe they don't need to see themselves.
Maybe. I mean, you might be right, but I'm still. We'll get Dan to give us the scientific stuff. Vincent, you're probably right. They probably, because I know they can see out because
they dance for food. I know that.
Yeah, when you walk past the tank, they know you're there. They're ready for the food, so they obviously can see out. I wonder if it's lighting or something. I don't know, but I still love the picture. So great picture. Deborah also posted this picture, no caption, and she's got them with clowns. So I would like to know more about how that's going, because my clowns are little butt heads, and I can't imagine them ever being with seahorses. So I'm glad that it's working out for you. I would love to learn more. I will comment on that post, and maybe we can talk further, because I would love for you to come on and talk about your tank and show us and tell us how things are going. But very cute picture. And I know I'm not doing this very well, guys. I'm trying. Oh, Cheryl's pregnant comb. She talks about a pregnant.
Whoa. That's fat.
Yeah, that
is.
What was funny is he used to fit through there between that rock and the glass. And I caught him trying to get through there like the day before he delivered. And he was almost got himself stuck and finally realized he needed to raise up higher to get out of that.
Holy moly. Well, you weren't kidding when you said they can get a lot fatter for sure. Oh, well, you were talking about the female, but still, you know the point. All right. I think I might have to go back up. I think Lucy's was up top. There it is.
There, yeah.
This is Lucy. She's actually an admin of Seahorse Whisperer sites, and she just has the most gorgeous seahorses. My God. So pretty. And look at that, Siri. It's pointy. It's not even flowy. Have you guys seen that before? No one?
Like spikes.
What I find is how even within the same species, some of them will be really spiny. Some of them will have really, really long cirri. Some of them never seem to get, they all have different physiological differences, even within the same species.
Well, Lucy already knows, as always, we love your seahorses. They're always beautiful. And look at those macros. My goodness. What a pretty tank. That's why I loved my first tank, is the macros just make it so pretty. The difference between the color in the seahorse and the color in the macros, I just love it. Anyhow,
the problem with macros is I get tired of treating the darn things for pests.
Sure. I understand that. And this is Shanna's Rain. I love the name. First of all, love the gorgs I'm seeing in the background. And that's a unique color. It's like not yellow, not orange, it's like unique. It's like a, what color would you say that is, guys?
I have actually seen some brilliant ruby red seahorses, believe it or not.
Well, sure, but this one's not red. Vincent, what were you going to say?
But I know.
It looks like a copper color to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, copper. I love it. Whew. Very beautiful, Shanna. And we're showing and telling, guys. I promised I'd do it. I got to get through it. Because I love all of these pictures. Okay, I think that one did want to show that on Humble Fish Forum, Paul B. said he collected those here in New York. Wow. He's got them in a reef. Okay, I'm going to go over to Humblefish and try to talk to him more. That's a good picture of a transfer, though. Look at that.
Yeah.
Can you guys see that?
Paul's pretty amazing.
Right, okay, I didn't share the right thing. Sorry. Hang on. So sorry. Here we go. I'll get it. I apologize. I'm trying to do too many things at once.
She did it on purpose.
My Siri is just popping up.
See that? But you can see the eggs.
Oh wow!
I don't think I can blow it up anymore. But holy moly!
Yeah, the red color.
Yeah.
Orange. Yeah.
Yeah. And you can see the little ones being dropped out, likely. Wow. Go and talk to him, Paul B on Humblefish, or you guys can go over to humblefish.com in the Seahorse Pipefish section. I'm there. I don't always respond right away, obviously, but there is a section for Seahorse and Pipefish folks. So,
well, right, I'm on the reef tank. Is most of my Seahorse stuff is on, and then I'm on Humblefish and Reef to Reef.
Do you have it pulled up?
No, I don't. But I mean, if anybody wants to check it out, it goes into more detail.
And you said it's on Reef to Reef and Humblefish?
The Reef Tank. The reeftank.com, and then Humblefish, I have a thread going, and on Reef to Reef.
All right. Well, if I can't find them while we're live, I will find them and post them in the comments, you guys, so you can check out his reef tank because we're interested in that too. That's cool too. Yeah. And then the last place I had to look real quick because I know some people shared in the group, and then we can just chat and end it for tonight. But Seahorse Sources group. Whoops. Just want to make sure I share everyone's picture that's shared because I appreciate when you guys comment on the posts and, help out and communicate. But let's see if I can find it. All right, here we go. I'm getting there, guys. Taking a second. All right. So we've got more. Vincent commented there too. Here we go. Let me share it.
Did you get the picture that I posted of the female hitched to the male's head?
I don't think so.
It was a young pair of combs that I raised. And
we got some echoing going on for some reason. Go ahead.
And he was trying to drag her in circles, and she wasn't interested. And after about 20 minutes, she swam up and hitched to the top of his head. And
nice.
To this day, I'm not sure if she was trying to tell him to use his brain or get his head out of his pouch.
Love it. Love it.
And I'm very serious about that. They ultimately did pair up and reproduce, but it was several months later when they both grew out a lot more.
Well, this is the video that I should have played, Vincent, because it literally shows the char chamber. Quick question for you, though, and we've already discussed that we don't worry too much about, algae and such, but does that cause any problem on the top? Like, does it clog it?
On top of the, no, on the char chamber?
Yeah.
No, not at all.
Do you have it or?
No, I don't clean it. As long as bubbles going through, it only goes through one hole at a time.
Right.
Gotcha. And
they do like to hang out there at times.
Yeah, I bet they do.
I'm sorry I keep replaying it. I just love this. I miss this so much when I had that many seahorses just all hanging and chilling and looking cute. I just love it. Okay. And then let's see who else posted on this? Oh, I went back somehow. Sorry, you guys are seeing the Facebook. Seahorse. And the computer is stupid. All right. Right at the top. 1 second, guys. My computer's, it's not good. The computer is not good right now. All right. So just want to make sure we show all the pictures of people that actually shared.
When all else fails, blame it on the computer.
All right. It really is the computer, though. So I've got, oh,
There's
that's your, is that the picture, Matt?
That's my picture.
There we go.
That's the female hits the male's head after he tried to drag her in circles to get her to dance with him.
He wasn't playing around.
I hear Holly laughing in the background, but I'm very serious. I'm amazed the picture is clear because I was laughing so hard I could barely hold the camera steady.
Mine are a lot rougher than that. They choke each other. They're not happy.
These guys were only about. These two were only about 3 inches long. They were really, really young.
Well, they were adorable, Cheryl. Love the picture. Look at these guys. Do you think maybe she's about to feed? I know. Do you think maybe she's about to feed with them sitting up top going, where's the food?
Or they want her to.
Yeah.
Oh, I see the food.
Or the other.
I noticed too, in yours, you target, you broadcast feed, right? Like Heather's doing, like you just throw it in?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. That's why I was that many too.
Well, even my adults, I just never could get used to putting it in a. I tried one of those feeders from Salty Reef and different stuff, and I don't know, they just never took to it.
Oh, mine love them. I broadcast feed.
See, Holly's got a magic touch.
Blowout, but they prefer it in a dish or just on the floor if it reaches the floor. Other than my one that chases the baster, she just wants the whole baster, I think, because she doesn't try to get the food coming out of it. She goes after the baster itself. She's like, if I could just get that, I'd have the monopoly on food.
Okay, is that the female that keeps trying to stick out in the baster?
What's that, Cheryl?
Is that the female that is that you that has that female that keeps trying to stick her snout in the baster?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, that was me. No. That was me. Sorry guys. One of my girls always tries to go into the baster.
Although
all right, I don't know what I did. Hang on.
And Dandy's a pro at target feeding. He'll get the mysis right out of the baster. If I have the patience to sit there and feed him that way, he never misses. The other seahorses, they don't have their timing right or something. They miss. But he'll sit and catch every piece of mysis as it comes out if I have the patience to sit there and feed him that way.
Holy crap. Did you guys see this?
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
sure. It's a he, right? I'm seeing a little pouch. He looks covered in diamonds. Antoinette, he's gorgeous.
What
that is a he, right, guys? I'm not sure. Just know he's gorgeous. I will go back and comment on everyone's pictures and ask more questions so we can talk about it further. But that is just a gorgeous seahorse.
Yeah,
it looks almost.
Antoinette.
It looks red-eye to me.
That's what I was thinking. It looks like either a red-eye or a hybrid.
Yep.
No, actually, the bony plate in front of the coronet and the larger pointy coronet says something else. It almost reminds me of juvenile. It also almost reminds me of juvenile engines.
Oh, really?
But it's not an engine. It's not an engines.
It looks red-eye to me, but we'll ask Antoinette. But either way, gorgeous. Yeah. Just
red-eye have virtually no coronet to speak of, and neither the Reed-eye don't have the bony plate in front.
See, that looks like reed-eye to me too.
The coronet's too pronounced.
Well, look at the size of that head compared to the body.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we'll have to ask her for sure. Gorgeous though.
Where's she
look
from?
At that yellow. It's just on the post, Cheryl. I don't have any answers. I'll have to ask her.
Could that be the Hystrix, like Francis had?
Hystrix typically have spotting and markings like reed-eye and some of those. The primary difference is they're very, very narrow-bodied seahorse, and they have a pronounced crown, coronet, which both of those pictures showed.
I've always had a hard time identifying different species.
I struggle with it too, and a lot of times I'll send it out to somebody that I know lives in the area and is really familiar with a particular species to see if it happens to be the right species, because it's so variable.
Yeah, and no, I agree. Well, I will follow up with her and find out. And I was trying to do 5 things at once again. I'm not going to keep you guys for very much longer, but I will show you one of my seahorse pictures just to show you Hystrix. But Regina says, my first baby seahorse that came from my adults will be 4 months old on August 6th. Aww. Thanks to all of you. Aww. Look at her.
Oh, adorable.
So cute, Regina.
That's a good picture.
It really is.
Love it. Sorry, guys, not trying to rush through this. Just trying to make sure we show them all. I think this is the last one. Oh,
I love the eyeballs. Yeah. Hey, Mom, you taking a pic of me? Here I am.
And the mouth. That's so adorable. Perfect picture. Great job, Regina. All right, I'm done with the sharing. I think I covered it. If I did not share your picture, please let me know. I'll make sure that I do in a future episode. But thank you so much to everybody that shared their pictures and joined us tonight, and that continues to share and talk about seahorses, because that's, the whole point of this. So we really appreciate. And Shyla in the comments said, I get confused with Cuda and reed-eye. Right. Listen, when it comes down to speciation, it gets so deep. It gets into genetics. Cheryl's good at that stuff, better than all of us. That's why I trust her when she tells us stuff. But I mean, even Graham Short came on the channel. He was working with Lucy. He thought he has actually found new species and, described them, and they're in the records and on the books now. He has done that, but he thought that a hybrid, an Erectus reed-eye hybrid, was a new species, because they're doing the hanky-panky in the wild, and you never know what you're getting. Right?
The thing is, each species, when you start counting spines on the back, and you start counting tail spines, and you start looking at the size of the coronets, and even with them, I can show you pictures of engines where male has a huge bony plate in front of his coronet, okay? Mm-hmm. And they literally would head batter each other in predominance. But then I've also seen pictures with others that are supposedly engines that are wild in around San Diego that look nothing like the engines that we're seeing here coming in the commercial trade.
So I don't know what the echoing is, guys. I'm really sorry. I don't know if it's on my end or your guys's. But so you're saying that the reason the picture. Oh, well, it's okay. We're not going to go much longer. Yeah. And I want to say thank you so much to you too, Vincent, before you go. But so you're saying that this reed-eye shows it doesn't have that big plate in the front?
No, engines have a huge bony plate. I mean, and they literally, when the males are fighting, they literally ram each other with it.
Wow. That's awesome, Cheryl. But what I'm asking is the seahorses that we looked at a minute ago, from the pictures, I can't even remember the name at this point, too much wine, but you said they weren't reed-eye because they had too much plate in the front. And these are my reed-eye from Alyssa, and I think I see what you're saying. They don't have the plate.
One of the characteristics of reed-eye, domestic reed-eye, is they have a very small, flat coronet and no bulge in front of the coronet.
Got it. Okay. That's what I was asking. So it was Antoinette, and I will follow up with her and find out. But I see what you're saying now. There's no bulge in the front. So now I'm really curious.
Again, though, different subspecies may have different attributes, too.
Right. Right. And see that little orange glinter, Holly? I know what you're talking about, pink.
That's a reflection.
Yeah, I loved those seahorses so much. All right, I'm done with show and tell for the night. I'll show you guys my stuff later. I don't want to keep you all night. But I want to thank Vincent so much for coming and sharing. I know we didn't focus enough on you and asking you questions, so we'd love for you to come back. And, you know, like we can focus on you and talk with you more instead of the show and tell. But was there anything else you wanted to share tonight?
No, I think everything's good for tonight. I'd love to come back. It's been a pleasure being here, meeting you. I mean,
watch your fry grow up. That would be awesome.
And I'm going to teach you how to ship because I want some of those fry.
Yeah, Robert told me the same thing.
I'm going to give you a real quick one. First real success I had raising a large number of fry was back in 2006 or 2007. I forget the year. But we had a cold snap, knocked down a tree in my neighbor's yard, cut off my power. Now it's in the 20s outside. I have no power. My tanks are basically, as far as I'm concerned, they're toast. And when the power finally came back on over 13 hours later, I literally started doing a gradual rewarming on my fry and put a heating pad on the bottom. And I actually spent 3 days bringing them back up to a reasonable temperature.
Wow.
And the thing is, they were all laying substrate on the substrate. They weren't moving. Tanks started to warm up. They'd lift their little heads. And I had tears in my eyes because this was my first success, really a big success of raising fry. And they'd lift their little heads. And finally, some of them would start swimming. And they start to go up higher up in the tank. And you can see them. And then as soon as they hit that cold water, they go darting back down to the bottom. And to be totally honest, this is when I realized how tough they were because I did not lose a single one of them and none of my adults.
Well, cheers to that. And I feel like we've abused Vincent and Robert's time too much. We've kept them all night long. So I am going to end it for tonight. But again, thank you so much to Robert King for the Char Chamber giveaway and for just coming and sharing with us. Thank you so much to Vincent for coming and sharing what's going on with him. I promise I will get him back so we can question him more and find out more about his setup and what he's got going on. And as always, thanks to Holly and Cheryl for coming and sharing. Holly, your pictures were beautiful. Thank you to everyone who posted pictures. Really amazing. I'll do a better job sharing next time. But I loved seeing them all. This was a fun show and tell.
I still love my seahorse, my little baby. I caught the picture trying to snick, and I still
it's a perfect picture.
Yeah.
Perfect. Vincent, did you tell me to be more prepared?
No, I said I'll be more prepared.
You could totally tell me to be more prepared too.
And
that would be
I have a frog. I'm on the patio, and there's a frog out here.
That's
what we hear.
That's why I keep muting it. And
no worries.
But talking about power outages down here, and last year we went a week without power.
Oh my God.
And I mean, I use portable generators, have for years. hurricane season is bad. But I just installed a whole house generator, and it's like
nice.
I have
Where do
one
you live?
It's not hooked to the house yet.
Wait, hold on. Where do you live?
South Louisiana in Denham
Oh,
Springs.
yeah.
And last year we got hit by Ida.
Yep.
And it
Some of
knocked
my
us out for a week.
Some of my friends from Texas went down there to help out medically and that kind of. And I know several people in around the Lake Pontchartrain area.
Yeah.
And they were pretty much devastated.
Yeah. I mean, we didn't get damage in our house, but power went out. My chicken coop got damaged.
Did you have seahorses at the time? Or no?
Yeah, I had the seahorses, but you know, as long as I have the portable generator, my son's an electrician, so he had it wired in that we just hit switches and started up. But now it's all automatic.
Yeah. That's amazing, and that's a great topic we need to cover another week because, I mean, we've done it before, but that's so important because when I lost power for a day, I had no generators and I wasn't prepared, and it was a dang mess. I was literally scooping water to give them oxygen. It was terrible. So I'm so glad you were prepared.
Yeah, I have 2 generators that I keep on hand all the time.
Yeah,
and
I do now. But.
Yeah, because you can lose everything.
Yeah. We have a whole house generator, but it's not hooked to the house yet. So I still have to go out there and start it up and plug the tanks into the extension cords that run to it. And our power is shut off so often. I have extension cords running through my house all year long.
Where you're at,
But see, down here it's
they
so hot.
shut it off on purpose due to fire danger because our power company was responsible for burning down my entire town a few years back. Right. And so part of the thing now is the government makes them shut off power if there's high fire danger. So
which I get, but still
it's a pain in the butt.
Right. What were you going to say, Vincent?
Well, I'm afraid the weather's going to get worse.
Heat.
Wait, hang on, Cheryl. Let Vincent talk. Go ahead.
Here in the summertime, usually when a hurricane hits, it is so hot and muggy outside that if you didn't have an air conditioner going, it just overheats your tanks.
Your humidity down there has got to be bad. We get hot here, but it's a dry heat.
Yeah,
and I will warn you, they've been running almost full time lately.
Yep, I will warn you though, Vincent, because we want you to come back any week that you're available. But you're going to be stuck. You and Ray will be in one corner dealing with us loudmouth women that interrupt each other constantly. So I apologize that we're constantly interrupting. Yeah. Please feel free to be like, hey, let me talk.
I wish Ray J would have been here today.
Yeah, he will be next week again, guys, is Ask Seahorse Source Part 3. Everyone's welcome to come in the video and, of course, in the comments. But I'll let Dan answer the questions first. Then we'll all jump in and do open chat. But after next week, you guys can come every week. Ray just had some personal stuff going on. He didn't miss it on purpose. And I'm sure you guys will have a great conversation.
Well, I've been reading stuff by him for years.
He's amazing,
for
right?
Many years. I always knew him as Ray J. And but
well,
anybody who does seahorses should know Ray.
I don't know him personally, but
right, no, it's the same thing when you get to know somebody online. And it's not the same thing, but you know what I mean. It's you know who he is, and that's why he constantly apologizes for whatever his opinions are or whatever he whether he can remember something. And I'm like, stop it. We all respect the hell out of you. Are you kidding me?
Have you ever seen,
just like Cheryl?
Have you ever seen Ray's tank where he had the big skimmer on it and it overflowed and it got stuck to his ceiling in his house? That is one of my favorite pictures of all time.
I haven't seen the picture. I've heard the story.
Oh, it was funny. Oh, Dan and I haven't spoken in a while. And when Dan and I get going, it's like, well, we both worked as paramedics, okay? That ought to give you an idea where we're going.
And that's why we've got people like Holly and myself who also give valuable advice, but maybe on a hobbyist level, so that you can see both sides of it, right?
Agreed.
Well, there's so many ways to do things. You can do it all different kinds of ways, and you got to figure out what's right for you. And
absolutely,
I'm pretty old school, laid back. I don't get caught up in equipment, and you know, auto top offs. You know, I like to have those, but not the Apex or any of that for my reefs.
Yeah,
I'm not.
I would love. Sorry, Holly. Go ahead. Go ahead, Holly.
No, I just said I'm not very fancy. I don't use a lot of additive. I don't use any additives in the tank, really. You know,
and
I have the skimmer, I have biofilter media, but nothing. Yeah, nothing fancy like the
Apex. I keep thinking you're done talking, and then I start talking. So I'm so sorry that I'm over talking. I apologize. But no, I'm the same way. I think the systems with the Apex and the controllers and all that stuff are amazing. But I've got so many tanks that it would be really expensive to do them all that way. And I just think what Vincent said was accurate. You know, there's so many ways to do things. If you don't have all that, you can do the water changes and the skimmer and the char chambers and such. You know, I mean, there's just so many different ways. You can do something really sterile like Cheryl and Dan would, or you and Ray, or you can do something with macros and, you know, it's just, there's so many ways. There's no rights. That's why I love this channel. We all get together and just share, and nobody's wrong. We can all, you know, say, hey, here's a suggestion, or, you know, if I have a problem, you can help me. But we all respect each other, and I just love this place. But I am going to call it tonight, you guys. I've got to. It's literally 10:37 here, and I've got to be up in the morning. But again,
2 minutes.
Vincent, I appreciate you coming so much. I hope you will come back. The link stays the same, so you can join any week that you want. And but for tonight, let's all say cheers, and we'll be back next week. All right. Cheers. Happy Wine Wednesday, everybody.
Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers.